Hey gang, and welcome back. Just a reminder, you can now use the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, at flipsidegaming.com. You'll get 10% off orders over $10 and help with the channel at the same time. Hey gang, and welcome back. This is the 10K Q&A video special giveaway slash EDH slash thing. So, without wasting any time, let's get into some of your questions. We'll start from the top and go down. First up, what is my favorite commander? I'm pretty sure I've already addressed this, but it's Prosh, Skyrider of Care. I like dragons, I like Jund, and he does a good job of both things. Do I think Sol Ring and Mana Crypt should be banned? No. I like them, they're fast accelerants, and they both become very affordable nowadays, so I don't think so, no. Can we see an Omnath Locus of Rage deck? No. The most unusual commander deck I've ever seen was probably played by my friend Zach. You've seen him in one of the videos. He built an Esper mono board wipe slash no one can win deck with Divine Intervention. It was awkward, no one won, and it wasn't usually a lot of fun because he didn't let anyone do anything. The best slash worst commander, i.e. Mistra or Phage. I think it's that zombie Harkin guy where you have to cast him from his graveyard. That guy is kind of weird. In your opinion, what are the most common mistakes to avoid when deck building? Either not having enough mana or having too little mana. It's a fine line finding that sweet spot between your deck, and it depends heavily on how many rocks, mana dorks, and things you have. I'm also not a huge fan of the equations that sometimes people use to build a deck where you have to have X amount of certain things. I find it kind of takes away from some of the fun and unique aspects of building a deck. I know I certainly don't kind of get constrained to one of those, so yeah. Having made so much content for your viewers and fans and amassed so many subscribers, looking back, what first made you want to create your channel? Also, is there a type of video content you haven't made yet that you've always wanted to? So what first made me want to make the channel was really just to do something to fill my time. I was looking for a way to entertain myself while looking for jobs after hurting my back, and I kind of fell into this. Is there any kind of video content that I haven't made that I want to? I'm sure there's millions of kind of things that I haven't even thought of, so definitely, yeah. Why didn't you mention Aggravated Assault? That's heavily because in all of my primer videos, I don't typically go over every single card. I like to focus on ones that are more interesting and less common. Aggravated Assault is certainly a good card in almost any EDH red deck. What is your favorite EDH artifact? Probably Birthing Pod. It's a shame you can't play it in Modern anymore, but Birthing Pod is definitely my favorite card. What are your favorite colors for a commander? Definitely Jund. I like black and green the most with a bit of splash of red. Red has a lot of chaos elements, but also some really aggressive elements, and black has the tutoring and green has the ramp, so definitely those three colors. What is the most competitive deck I've made? Probably Prosh. Prosh has very much become a competitive food chain deck. It still needs a lot of updates because I'm kind of lazy and I still have a few pet cards in there that I don't want to cut, but it can definitely win some games very quickly. You know what's really weird is before I started recording this, I brushed my teeth because I was worried that I was going to have bad breath for the video, and yeah. How do you make sure that your deck is power enough to play, yet casual enough your friends don't decide that you are the archenemy every time you play the deck? Trial and error, actually. Usually it's very quick, based on how your deck plays out, if your friends will gang up on you or not, and based on that you can then move forward by changing out cards that you like or dislike, or your friends have made points about. When did you start playing Magic, and what was your first deck? I started playing Magic around 4th or 5th edition in elementary school. It was not really playing so much as collecting the cards. We all thought it was super cool and had those giant massive piles of cards that were like this high, and it was literally just everything crammed in there. We really started to play around Scars of Mirrodin. The first deck I played was this kind of janky blue-white deck, which involved Wall of Omens, Venser, and Batterskulls, and just did super poorly. The top 3 cards I want to see banned in EDH. I don't really have any top 3 banned cards I want to see in EDH. I like a lot of cards. I like the flexibility of being able to run almost any card that's been printed in Magic, so yeah. What's the first commander deck I made? Outside of the precon decks, which were the first ones that I bought, which were the Zedru, the Riku, and the Carador decks, the first one I made was Krenko. I really liked Goblins at the time. My wife, or girlfriend at the time then, was playing Goblins in Standard, so I thought it was a great way to get her into the game, and Krenko has stuck around since the very beginning. There's a lot of repeats and questions. What do you think should be banned in Commander? As I said before, I don't really think there's a lot of things that need to be banned. I think Commander's in a really healthy place right now, even with Protean Hulk being a thing. I don't see it that often, so I'm really not that upset about it. Do you think Sol Ring is unhealthy for the Commander format? As I said before, not really. I mean, everyone has access to it, so if everyone can get it, then it's not really that special, and yeah, there are some decks that I make that don't even run it, so Does your playgroup communicate about the competitive levels of your decks, or do you just take whatever deck you want to the table? Basically, we tend to show up, I think at least the majority of people do, with a couple decks in tow. I know I certainly have stuff ranging from very simple to very complicated, and we will play based on what everyone feels like at the time. It's often very apparent when if one person wins outright with a deck with little to no struggle, basically we all go to our more competitive decks afterwards. Do I think equally powerful decks have more fun as a group? I definitely think so. Everyone who's on the same level tends to know the same kind of stuff that's coming out, so yeah, I think you can have a lot more fun that way. Which is your least favorite commander to play against? That doesn't exist. I like every commander. I play against Evil Adam all the time, and he plays his Derevi deck constantly, and I enjoy it. I know we give him a lot of trouble with it, but I still have a fun time playing against him. If anything, it's not so much the commander that I have a problem with, it's sometimes against the people. If someone comes in with a really sour attitude and they don't really want to be there, or they're really complaining about a lot of things, it can really sour and dampen the mood. It's less about the commander and more about the people, I guess. Who is my favorite commander? Prosh. What is my favorite strategy to use in Commander? I think if most people have seen the videos, I tend to be more of a combo player. I don't particularly care for control or aggro. I find they're too simple, which is kind of funny because control isn't very simple, but I like the complexities that combo can bring out of a deck. Do I play Overwatch? If you do, who's your main? And if not, what are your favorite video games? I don't play Overwatch, but I do like Blizzard. My wife and I were very big into World of Warcraft. We played for a long time and recently stopped. Currently, I don't play anything religiously. I pick up things as I go along and just play stuff that I enjoy. The last game that I've played or /beat was the Kingdom Hearts remake remastered for the PS4 and also Resident Evil 4 for the PS4. I doubt I'm the first to ask, but have you ever considered introducing plane chase to a game every now and then? It definitely makes more games explosive. I certainly have. Unfortunately, we've recorded 2 games of plane chase and both games have had these huge glaring issues that I haven't been able to use, so I know Sean in New Jersey is definitely down for it. It's just a matter of finding time. What is your perfect date? Are you excited for any of the C-17 commanders? If so, and why? Well, I think it's kind of past the point, but Edgar Markov and Kess were my 2 favorite picks from the set. Inala is definitely cool, and Marosil, I think he's pronounced, is definitely interesting. I know Harry's building him, so that'll be fun to see. If you could add a new color to MTG, which one will you choose? Unfortunately, that makes it sound like there's already colors existing. I don't know, really. That's a good question. Yellow? I don't know. Gold? Purple? What? Thanks for all the videos. My question is, what are some of your favorite cards that are bulk, and do you often play budget decks? Probably one of my favorite cards is Viscera Seer, a free sacrifice outlet that lets you scry for creatures to save them and be able to get them in your bin is fantastic. I don't know if it's considered bulk, because I know the foils are about $10 or $11, but he's a common, so he's not overly expensive non-foil. Do I often play budget decks? Typically no, mostly because all of my budget decks have gone up in price in terms of their value because other cards have spiked as a result of Commander. Will I make more budget decks? Certainly. We're actually looking into making Pauper EDH decks, so that could be a lot of fun, and certainly cheap, unless you're playing cards like Oubliette, which are super expensive for no reason. If you could design your own Commander, what would he or she do, and what would his colors be? Probably Jund, and maybe something revolving around -1/-1 counters. That'd be kind of cool. How many and which commander decks do you actually own? So this is Prosh. This is Zedru. This is Carador. This is Animar. This is Derevi. This is Doreti. This is Joyra. This is Titania. This is Dralnu. This is Krenko. And this is Erebos. If you could ban or unban 5 cards from EDH, what would they be? Like I said before, nothing really, because I like the format how it is right now. I don't want to see Sylvan Primordial or Prophet of Krufix come back, so I'm pretty happy with the list as they are now. Would I play Sig River Guide? Sure. If you could design a commander card from the ground up, what would it be? What would it look like? What abilities would it have? It would probably be some kind of Jund worm that involves -1/-1 counters, drawing cards, or getting worm tokens, or I'm not too sure really. I haven't put much thought into it. Do you ever allow proxy to play within your playgroup, considering some people like Evil Adam have cards like Time Twister in their deck and can most likely afford it? I don't have a problem with proxies. I don't particularly care for them when they're on camera. I know some stores that I've recorded in have a no proxy policy, so in that sense, we typically don't run proxies. How do you make people not hate you for playing a commander that you enjoy playing? First, be a good sport about it. If people gang up on you, don't complain and don't be sour. Second, just be there to have fun and really kind of make sure that everyone understands that it's just a game and that you're having fun with your friends. Hey, could you do a Conquering Commander for Loro? I actually already have. What commander do you hate to see someone else pull out with? Again, it's really not about the commander, and it's not even hate. There's nothing I dislike, really. I just wish that some people would have better attitudes sometimes. What got you into playing Commander? Found it by accident, or did some friends recommend it to you? Zach actually was the first person to suggest it to me. He got me into it by letting me see some of his decks, and I thought it was kind of cool when they announced that Commander 2011 was coming out. Favorite color combo is probably Jeskai. My favorite archetype is probably Combo. My favorite guild is Golgari, and I don't typically drink a lot of soda. I do enjoy SodaStream for the sparkling water though, because it's cheaper than having to buy cans. How old am I, and what do I do for a living? I'm 32, which is kind of old. It's gross. And what do I do for a living? I've done a lot of things. I've worked with translation. I have been a chef. I have worked at airports. What's your favorite spell? Rhystic Study. Have you ever made a commander deck that you expected to work really well but ended up underperforming? If so, what commander? Have you ever made a commander deck that you expect to work really well but ended up underperforming? If so, what was that commander? Basically, watching the Game Nights video with Melissa DeTora playing her Karametra deck, I thought it looked really, really fun, and I kind of threw one together, and it really didn't work well, and I realized that I don't really like Selesnya as a color pairing, and that was the end of it. Am I a real person or just a disembodied voice? Both. Which was the best commander set in your opinion? I certainly like the monocolored commanders with the planeswalkers. That was a lot of fun. It had a really unique design space, and I liked what they did with it. Have I ever considered building a commander for flavor reasons? Definitely not, but I could certainly see myself doing that in the future for some of the more interesting videos I have lined up. If you could make a Boros commander, what would be its abilities to make Boros a better color pairing? Something to do with artifact recursion, I think. I like that Boros is kind of the two colors that do that, but unfortunately it sticks heavily to equipment-based stuff, so that's kind of disappointing. And attacking. Blech. What part of Magic drew you into the game and made you want to play? For me, it was the art and overall visuals of the cards and world apart from Yu-Gi-Oh! That I was playing at the time. Definitely the artwork and the fantasy flair, but also the nostalgia from having remembered what the cards looked like from back in elementary school. So that was a big pull for me. What are my thoughts on the Commander 2017 set? Initially, I was kind of confused as to why there were only 4 decks, but I'm super happy that the decks are so good and fun and really kind of impactful with what they do. What was the strangest deck you played against? As I mentioned before, it was a tribal board wipe / divine intervention as a win con deck where basically nobody won. What do you think is the best tribal deck that isn't monocolored? Probably Slivers, but Dragons is definitely up there as well now. When do we get to see Neheb the Eternal? He's already up. Have you ever been recognized because of your channel at a local game store? Personally, I've only been recognized a few times, one of which was at GP Montreal. I know that Pat, if you remember the guy with the hand tattoo, he's been recognized at Face à Face in Montreal. What is your favorite Commander product card and why? I'm really high on the new Curse of Opulence. I think it's ridiculously good, and I'm trying to jam it into everything I can. What is the worst thing in your opinion that can happen when building an EDH deck? Probably a tornado hitting that exact spot where you're building it in. What commander frustrates you the most? Again, I don't really have any kind of commander that I dislike. It's really just people's attitudes being poor. What do I think is the best color combination in EDH? Probably something with green and blue in it, splashing a third color. What is my favorite type of playstyle for commander? I love tokens and I certainly love combo. Aggro and control are probably my least favorite. What EDH you made lasted the shortest time before you scrapped it? For example, that was again Karametra. I played her once and she was assembled that day and taken apart that same night. What are things you hate playing against? There's really nothing I hate playing against so long as it doesn't delay the game by like an hour unnecessarily. As long as people are playing things that are meant to win instead of stalling, I really have no problem with it. Who is your favorite MTG artist and your favorite cards from them? I don't particularly have a favorite artist, although I will say that I am a big fan of Victor Adame. I like his Nazan and his Hammer of Nazan. I think they were hugely cool, and I certainly like a lot of the cards that he's done recently. How do you motivate yourself to keep building? Well, basically I look for things that I haven't done before and I try them out and see if I enjoy them. I'll often try and force myself to build outside of my comfort zone, definitely pushing myself from green and black, and see where it goes. What was the first Magic the Gathering card you ever saw? I can't really remember, but the card that I remember the most was probably Regenerate. It was from 4th edition, and it's got the guy kind of with the green magic coming out of his hand on his arm. That was super nice. I really like that one. Couple of questions here. Does your playgroup have Does your playgroup have any personal memes? I don't really know. I mean, Trevor and Matt have Xenobros, but nothing that really carries over constantly. 2, as far as you can remember, what is the most enraging game you've ever found yourself in, and how did it go? There was one game, unfortunately we were recording, and it was 4 players. We were playing against 2 stack decks, and basically what ended up happening was we played for about 3 hours and the battery died. And so even though we played all of that game, it still went on for like an extra 45 minutes afterwards, and I just couldn't use it. And for me, that was kind of upsetting because it was an interesting game and we just couldn't use it in the end. What kind of janky/unique deck do you still want to build? I really don't know. I'm pretty much lucky enough to be able to build whatever I want, so I'm not really limited to that. I always wanted to get into Commander and I struggled to find the one. How was that for you? Not really that hard. I have a really kind of broad sense of enjoyment in terms of EDH, so I haven't really had to find one so much as a collective grouping that I just enjoy playing. Have I ever rage quit a game, and if so, why? Have I ever rage quit a game, and if so, why? Not really, no. We just tend to play things out. We will scoop it up if it becomes very clear that we're not going to be able to progress any further, but typically that doesn't happen. What are your hobbies beside MTG? Well, I'm an avid reader. I'm currently making my way through Terry Pratchett's Discworld series. I have been known to enjoy a little bit of anime. These are basically from my childhood. Samurai Troopers and Samurai Pizza Cats are awesome. I certainly watch a lot of cartoons and comic book related things. And if you've seen my Twitter postings, you know that I use my comic books to flatten out my EDH decks, so I also love reading comic books. Congrats on your 10k subs. Thank you. Do you play with a group outside of your local game store? Yes, a lot of my friends in Montreal play from high school, but I also play with a bunch of people and at a bunch of different stores, so it's pretty diverse. Do you have a favorite MTG meme, such as Stormcrow? Not really. I don't get into the memes. What kind of changes would you like to see coming to Commander? Also, how's life? Life is good, Henry. Thank you for asking. What I would like to see is probably some more of the older lands reprinted so that they're more accessible. But outside of that, in terms of what to change for the format, nothing really. RAW has asked, I've got a question for you. Who's your favorite Planeswalker and why? Venser. Venser is my first and favorite Planeswalker. I enjoy bouncing things with his plus ability. His minus ability is criminally underused, which makes all of your creatures unblockable, which is so powerful for a swing, and his ultimate lets you exile permanents, so that's just fun. When did I start playing? So we played back in elementary school, but the first time I got back into it for serious was we were at a poker night and one of our buddies had his magic cards in a corner and all of us kind of caught on to it and then it just picked up and we've been playing since then. I think at this point it's been almost 6 years, so that's pretty crazy. How did I get into Commander? Basically, Theros had just come out. I was not enjoying Standard at the time. Modern had banned some of the Storm cards that I was enjoying playing for Storm, and I was looking for something to do with my cards which didn't involve me having to spend a ton of money. And Commander is basically that. So we got into that, and then my friends started to enjoy it, and next thing you know, that's all I play. Oh my goodness, there are so many questions. What is your favorite tribal deck? It is definitely Krenko, but I'm enjoying Derevi Bird Wizards, even though people don't seem to like watching it. What are my favorite unique win cons? Laboratory Maniac is definitely up there. This isn't really a question, but I thought it was kind of funny. Why does John Avon keep losing his games? He keeps drawing lands. Oh boy. Do you like Manatithe? How are you? I do like Manatithe. I am well. What do I think about the new gods as commanders? I don't really care for the monocolored ones. I think they're very narrow and the requirements are very hard. I certainly like the two-colored ones. The Scarab, the Locust, and the Scorpion God are really cool. Ravnica, what guild are you in and why? I want to say Golgari, but I don't really want to be a zombie, so I'm kind of in a tough position here. Maybe Selesnya, because I could then play with green and not be dead. Well gang, I've answered pretty much all of the unique questions and some of the repeats. I hope you all enjoyed it. We are now going to get into the giveaway part of the video. So I had originally thought of giving away one big gift, but I thought it'd be nicer to give away a bunch of things to a bunch of people. So as a result, I'm going to give away one booster pack for every 1,000 followers. That means that 10 lucky subscribers are each going to get a booster pack. So without further delay, let's look at our first winner. Chrome Drone is the first winner. Nick Fitzpatrick, Aswit, Scott Taylor, Kitty TCG, Isarium Y-Tube, AJ Blyer, Salty Bacon Production, Mason Casey, and Universal Gaming. So in order to be eligible for these packs, you guys have to make sure you have your messages on and respond to the message I send you so I can get your addresses and send these packs out. As always, gang, thank you for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.